Hey guys, it's Irene's Braids and I am back with another video. So let's just jump right into it. So in my palm of my hand, I have some pressing cream that I like to use on my client's hair. This works so well when blow drying. So if you don't have a cream that you like to use, this is a great option when blow drying out natural hair. Here is a yellow bird blow dry that I love to use. You can shop on Amazon to pick yours up or on walmart.com. And here are my favorite two products. Of course, Shiny Gem, I use that for parting the hair, and I use the braid formula for braiding the hair. So they're averagely priced a little higher these days, but everything has increased, so this is what you'll pay moving forward for products. I like to go ahead and apply a little bit of my braid gels into its own tray, so that way that I'm not mixing my fingers into the tube. Now, however, that braiding gel that I showed you guys at the end of the clip, that is a braid gel that I do not like. I am not a fan of it. And I think that leaves the hair really chalky and leaves the hair very dusty looking. So it's not one of my favorites. So I do not recommend that braiding gel that I showed you in the last clip. So here I am parting her hair in half so that way we can have some travel braids towards the front.
Now that those two sections are already parted out, I'm going to then take those two sections towards the front and put them in two separate braids. That way I can start my knotless braids towards the back. Now for the back, I'm going to do some small medium knotless braids because we're not looking for them to be too large and we don't want them to be too small. I want the braids to be a nice size so that way she'll be able to style them in buns or ponytails should she decide to pull them up. So now that the hair is separated towards the front, I'm going to start showing you guys how I'll part out my braids to begin my individuals. So now that I've parted out my first row, I did apply some Shine and Jam for the scalp. That helps really well with parting. Right now, as you see me rubbing the gel through her hair, that is the even braid formula. I like to apply that at the roots, and then I like to comb it through so that way I know that my braids can tuck easily and nicely when I am braiding. So again, I will be starting off with some knotless braids. I'm going to slow this clip down so that way you can see how I start my knotless braids. So now that I've separated the hair into three sections of her natural hair, I did apply a piece of braiding hair in between my index and thumb fingers so that way the hair can start off fuller versus too thin at the roots. So I braid that in about 2 to 3 times. So then I'll stop and I'll add another piece of expressions braided hair in the same size that I started off with to keep that consistency so the sizing remains the same. And I will braid this in between 2 and 3 times, and then I will add in another piece. And I will continue to do this until the braid builds up to the size that we are looking to achieve. So once you get to your desired size, then you can start to underhand your braid and braid down until you feel as though you need to add more hair. And when you're adding more hair, it will depend on if you're running thin and you need to add more to make the braid look consistent, or if you're adding more for length purposes. So now that I have my braid put in exactly at the size and the length that I'm looking for, I'm going to go ahead and start rolling and tucking as much of her natural hair as possible. When I begin my braid, of course, you can still see some of her darker roots. Her hair is colored 30, but of course it's growing out. So now that I'm starting to underhand, I tuck better that way. So I'm going to tuck away as much of her hair as possible so that way we don't have to see her dark roots. So I like to start off with 4 braids in the back of all my clients' nape. Now, I don't suggest that you do 4 braids because your client's head size could be different, so she may need more braids. For an example, I have done, of course, a lot of clients' hair, but sometimes throughout my week, I could have a client whose head size is just a little bit larger. And so therefore it required me to do 6 braids versus 4. So you want to make sure that when you're parting out your sections that they're even. And if it falls into 4 braids, great. But if you find that your client may need more rows, then definitely make sure that they are consistent. So that is why I always say I don't count my rows. I don't count how many braids per row because yours could be different. So I know a lot of subscribers always commenting why I don't say that and why I don't mention it. And this is why, because I don't want to mislead you. So you definitely want to make sure that you're doing it based off of your client, your friend, your sister, even your own head. However you guys are utilizing this video to learn, definitely keep that in mind. All right, so let's continue watching. Okay, you guys, now that the U part shaping is completed, I just wanted to pull the braids up to kind of show you what I did back here. So you see how it's slightly U-shaped? I do all of my braids like this. I start my first 3 rows straight across, and then I'll start from ear to ear and slightly U-shape it just like this. And this allows the braids to lay flat, but then also it allows the braids to fill in nicely without having too many braids. So this is a great size for this type of look. We are doing tribal braids. And then you see here we have 3 braids straight across. So that is how I end them. So that way I can begin my scalp braids towards the front and we can have a tribal braid look. So my client wants a side part. She does not want her braids to go straight back, and she does not want a middle braid down the middle. Now I know that is very common, but she doesn't want that. Nor does she want the braids coming towards her face. So these will all be going straight back, but at a slight angle. So let's get into how I do my scalp braids. So I did take the initiative to slow the video down because I would definitely like for you guys to pick up what I am putting down. So I did apply some of the even braid gel towards the scalp this time versus the shiny gem. And the reason why is because I would like for the parts to be as precise as possible. But then also I want to make sure that I'm picking up as many of those little bitty hairs as possible and making sure that they fall into my braid perfectly. So this is the size of the braiding hair that I'll be using for today. All right, you guys, so let's just get right into it. So what you're going to do is separate her natural hair into 3 sections like this. And then I'm going to braid this about 2 to 3 times. And then I'm going to stop. And I'll add in a small piece of expressions braiding hair. And I'll add that between my index and thumb finger. Braid that in 2 times. And then I'm going to stop. And I'll add in another piece of expressions braid hair in the same size that I just did so it can stay consistent. Braid that in 2 times. And then I'll stop again. And I'll add in another piece. So this will be my 3rd piece of expressions braiding hair. And then once I add in that 3rd piece, I will then add in another piece. So you'll continue to just keep repeating this step. You'll repeat it until your braid gets to the sizing that you're looking for. So as you see here, I added in that 3rd piece. I braided it in 2 times. And then I'm going to stop. And then add in my 4th piece. You see that? There's my 4th piece. I'm braiding that in 2 times as well. And so that is what I do. I'll keep repeating those steps until I get to my 5th braid. And it may be your 6th or 7th, depending on your client's head size or how far back you would have to go. Her braids are not going that far back. So therefore, about my 5th braid or so, I'm kind of done with adding it in because they're stopping pretty shortly in the front. And then what I'm going to do is start to underhand the braid. Once I underhand my braid, I will be adding in a little bit more braiding hair, and that helps with me hiding her dark roots. So that way I can see more of the color 30, and that way the 30 can shine and pop better. Because by the time I add in a little bit more hair, it helps me be able to roll and tuck her natural hair away. So the more hair we add, I can do that. You see how I just added that piece right there? I underhanded that in, and I added that piece between my index and thumb finger, and I braided it in. So it blends nicely. You can't even tell. You see? So yeah, you guys, that's how I start off my feed-in braids. And it's not tight. She won't have any tension bumps. And the braid looks natural. That's what I like to see. No knots. No knots. All right, you guys, I'm going to add a little bit of music, and you guys can continue watching me start my 2nd braid. you guys, here are the final results. Again, this is color 30 and the expressions 42-inch braiding hair. We only used 3 packs of this hair, and the results turned out absolutely beautiful. So make sure you like this video, give it a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, and please drop some comments into the comment section if you felt like you learned something from this video. And if you have any future video requests that you would like to see from me, please drop those in the comment section as well. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.